Hello, hello, hello. I can't see. Now, good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. Today's session is all about removing the shadows of fear, the emotion fear, one of those lovely ones that we all freak out about. Once we get some people going, we're actually going to trance channel by myself, telling me it's going to be okay. You know, it's really bad when you have pictures giving you in the head of them drawing straws, doing rock, paper, scissors, trying to decide who was going to go in and teasing you. So hopefully we can get some people popping in and dive into the emotion of fear and how does it serve us from a soul perspective and how does it serve us from a human perspective, because fear is one of those really big emotions that we all struggle with. I struggle with. Even doing these, this is one of my fears. So we're going to dive into that topic. Couldn't see, so I still can't. Hey, that's better. Now, oh, my cup of the day, because I always have a coffee cup. The cup of the day is my new one. It says Crazy Cat Lady on it with a bunch of little kitty faces. I got it for my birthday. And it is still early for me, so I'm drinking coffee because I slept late. And I know whoever comes in is not going to be happy about having coffee, but that's okay. They'll deal with it. I like it. So, all about fear. I get my crystals out of my pockets. So before I trance channel, let's talk a little bit about fear. Fear for the human creates the fight or flight response, right? So it's very primal and it's very motivational, you know, where suddenly you can get that energy out of nowhere and have an adrenaline rush to escape or defend oneself. But then there's the other side of fear too, where might be a phobia. I have a phobia. I have a phobia of roller coasters due to a traumatic experience at a young age. And then it, you know, we have some people who have phobias that are actually to the point of life threatening. So most of those are usually coming from traumatic events either in this life or in a past life. And one of the ways that we can use it in a positive way is number one, acknowledging it. Acknowledge that it's there. And you most likely need to look at the trauma that brought it in to understand where the root of it is. I really need to trance channel. It's kind of like having 4 or 5 people throwing thoughts at you. So I think I'll disappear and let, I believe it's going to be Preta come forward and talk about the spiritual aspect of fear. My pal Artie is joining us today as well. So I'm going to go and let one of them take over, because that would be easier if it's too much to sort through. I'll be back. For those sensitive to energy, you might see it shift. You'll definitely notice the difference because my team likes to use different speech patterns and even an accent sometimes to differentiate from my personality. And hopefully I'll remember most of it. I don't usually, but they've been telling me I'm going to be okay. Let's see. I have no participants at the moment. Anyway, I'm going to do it. I'll be back. Okay. I'm Preta. I'm one of her guides. And we are speaking today about the soul perspective of the human emotion of fear in order to assist you in utilizing this emotion to its fullest capacity of the light and not the stigma you prefer it to perpetuate. In order to handle your emotions, it is always best to examine them in a context that is safe. And fear is one of the largest hindrances that most of you will hold yourself back with. So, fear is a lovely, lovely emotion because it motivates the human personality in ways that most of you don't like to look at. The emotion fear, from our perspective in spirit, it is a very basic attribute of the human, that can be utilized in ways of expansion, just as love, just as laughter, just as joy. Fear also has its purpose in the soul's expansion. Many of you don't like to feel the emotion of fear, and yet it is a very valuable tool when you have it. So often there are events in the incarnation that will trigger this primal energy within you. It is usually traumatic. And with every trauma, there is a growth potential in order for you to examine the fear, the event, the trauma, and bring it into a new perspective once you have already moved through. In the moment, fear can help you with your survival, bringing up the instinct and adrenaline in order to protect oneself from harm. But it can also, in that same moment, empower you in ways that you would not have without it. So it has a duality purpose, just as most emotions within the human personality. Fear, most often you hear it referred to as a lower vibrational emotion. And we would say to you that as you continue to increase your vibration, expanding the self, expanding the soul energy within your incarnation, the emotions do not go up and down like a yo-yo. They will actually vibrate at whatever vibrational level you are at. So no matter what the emotion is, it does vibrate at that frequency when you are experiencing the emotional range. Now, fear is often seen as something you should be able to overcome and discard. And we would say to you that yes, there are instances in which this is an area that can be overcome, but you don't want to just jump over it and try to discard it. We're wanting you to move through the fear, understand your fear, love your fear. Does that not sound contradictory? Love your fear. Because this is part of the healing of a fear, you see. So if the fear is due to a trauma in the current lifetime, such as little one has, she doesn't like roller coasters because she was trapped in one at a very young age. And so now anytime that emotion, even within a vehicle, it brings that instinctual response. And once you are able to recognize the basis of the fear in that moment of where that trigger is, then you can begin to resolve it to where the trigger becomes unresponsive. You're not removing it fully, you're removing the trigger of response to it by doing a healing for it. Otherwise, fear is also quite a useful tool in your instinct, your gut feeling, your intuition. If something is triggering this emotional response, it is a moment for you to step back, look, pay attention, and listen. And often, from a spiritual perspective, as a guide, we would help you with noticing and recognizing that this is a situation in which you really need to pay attention. It's not that we want you to run away from it. We want you to be able to pay attention. If it's life-threatening, of course you're going to move away from it. Don't be silly. But when it is not life-threatening, it is a moment for you to examine the basis of it. Some people have a fear of death. And we like this one to talk about because death is not fearful. The more that you understand about your energy, your soul, and knowing that it is not something that can be destroyed, even through fear. The fear of death, more often from the human perspective, is about the way of your death. Will it be painful? I don't want something that's going to hurt a lot. I don't want something that's going to be extremely traumatic. Most people want to just pass in their sleep because they think that that would be so much easier. But yet the death experience itself can be quite a learning tool, not only for the soul departing, but for those who are surrounding. So by removing the fear of death, of crossing over, of returning home, then what are you left with? You're left with the act of death. And we would say to you, this is also an area in which you should not fear, because you as the soul get to choose whether or not you experience the pain or traumas related to your passing. You see. So there's really nothing to fear there. And once you can acknowledge that that is perhaps where that emotion is rising up within you, it's much easier to disperse it. Fear can also be used in very positive, motivational aspects. And as a motivational aspect, we would say to you that instead of reaction, it is more a moment of pause if this is coming up. Because unless it is life-threatening in that moment, you're being chased by someone or you had someone break into your home, the fearful moment brings in a motivation. Understanding the motivation of the emotion. Is it wanting you to act? Or are you needing to reassess? React or reassess? More often you'll find that it's a motivation to reassess a situation. Reassess someone you've just met. Reassess where your trigger is. So for instance, there are many fears that as you begin to work in overcoming them, which we would say moving through them and healing that attribute, you'll find you can reach points within yourself that you had never accessed before. It's very revealing. Now, this is not something we would suggest that you just dive into if it's something that you're going to really need a support system, or you need another person to help guide you through the either traumatic event or in that moment of harm being brought. Fear can also bring an understanding to the soul perspective that it's unable to gain when it's home in its true form. You understand? Fear does not resonate within the spiritual realm. So our best way of experiencing the duality of it is within a physical body. And Earth is not the only place that has the emotion of fear. There are planetary realms that have fear as an emotion. But some of those seem differently because of the type of environment and the type of beings within that type, in that realm. But for the Earth realm, can either destroy you or it can help you to blossom into a much brighter light being. That sounds strange, doesn't it? But you see, that emotion is such a valuable teaching tool, since when you are in a human body, you are completely utilizing the tool of separation of love and utilizing all of these emotional bases. Fear can actually be brought into an acceptance of its use, right? Because don't most of you fear fear? That happens a lot. You'd be surprised how many more people actually fear the emotion of fear. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it is very prevalent. And why? It makes your skin crawl. It makes your heart beat fast. It makes your adrenaline rush. And it makes the mind go crazy just for the moment. But truly, it is just a moment. You can also use fear in the fight and flight motivation, in how would we say this? Some concepts are a little more difficult to translate from the spirit side to the human aspect. But the best way that I could put that is probably to say that fear can also save the heart in ways that have not been truly explored. Now, what does that mean? Because fear is a vital link with the intuition, just as love is. Just as love is, all of your emotions are. It allows you to pause and tune in with your entire being versus just allowing the mind to run amok. Do you understand that? Fear does allow you to pause and tune in to your intuition and response. So, for instance, little one has a fear of public speaking. She has good reason for it. It's from many, many lifetimes, and in this lifetime, we've been assisting her in her goal in overcoming that fear that resonates through many lifetimes. So this is another area of dealing with an emotion that has more than one lifetime linked to it. This is not a karmic punishment. This was a life choice, an attribute chosen because the soul wanted to explore it in another variation of depth. And as the soul begins to work more deeply with balancing the fear with the love of self, the love and trust that this is an attribute wanting to be acknowledged, now allows the soul to move through and overcome, you see? So in this instance, this one is linked to several past lives. She was not aware of that until she started peeling back the layers of her fear. Understand? So this happens for many of you, where there's an emotional base that is in this incarnation, and it may not have a full root. It might only have a string. There was no other trigger within the lifetime creating the fear. And so then, as you begin to peel it back and you acknowledge that, okay, this particular fear is not based within this reality, perhaps now I need to acknowledge that it is a soul attribute that was chosen in order to work within another layer and related to past lives in which that attribute was a bit more of a struggle to work with. This incarnation does not need all of the details, you see. Does not need all of the details of those past lives as to why, but understanding that from the soul perspective, this was a choice to work with, now allows you to begin healing and moving through that perspective, through that emotion, in a different way, where you're not going to see it as a hindrance, but actually as a value. It's kind of like setting a goal, right? Now this allows you to begin to move through it carefully, aware. Aware is a very good concept to understand. It is the awareness of it, knowing that it is there. You've accepted that it is. And now you can begin to slowly and patiently be kind to yourselves, darlings. Please be kind to yourselves. You need to slowly move through it, little bits at a time. And sometimes you need help, and sometimes you just need you. That's another key that you need to be aware of. When to ask for assistance from another human. When you know that one of your fears is debilitating your life, you need assistance. And there are many who can come your way when you are ready. You may be at a point in your life that you acknowledge that it's there, but yet deep within you, it's not time yet. You need patience and understanding for yourself that this healing, this movement through, is going to need more than just a rush. Humans like to rush. Rush about, rush about. So when you can acknowledge that this is something that is really more than you can handle on your own, there are many ways that you can readdress it. You may need someone from a career base, a therapeutic career base of the mind. You may need instead a therapeutic base of the heart. Or you may need one of the spirit. Okay? And it might be physical as well. Because bear in mind, the more that you repress, suppress, denounce your emotions, the more that they will build like an energetic time bomb within your physicality that eventually becomes an illness, a disease, a disharmonic frequency within your physical being. So understanding and allowing it to be okay that sometimes your fear is going to need more assistance in order to move through it when, if that happens to be the case for you. So it could be you may need energetic healing in order to then reach the root. Because really, you all have different roots and triggers for emotional bases within the physical body. Just a moment. I'm trying to get used to coffee again. I should have answered. I like the tea. Anyway, so fear should not be put into the shadows. That's why we had her name today's session, removing the shadows of fear. You all have a saying on the earth plane, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. That has truth to it. For some, not for all. But understanding the motivation of your fear in the moment or as you're delving into yourself and understanding more, you can truly see the value in how fear is able to help a soul navigating an incarnation. It's kind of your big warning system, right? You all have those annoying little warning test systems, those screeching sirens, right? Fear is the emotional siren. It's your warning system. And that's why we say that is when you need to pay attention to how fear is being utilized with your intuition. If you walk into a building and suddenly you're feeling fearful and your intuition has kicked into high gear, you are now aware in more than the visual, more than the physical senses. You have now activated every layer of your energetic antenna fingers and figuring out where, why am I feeling fearful? Do I need to walk out the door? Now there are cases, and if I look in her memory, I can see one that little one has experienced, where someone broke into the place that she lived while being at home, asleep in the bed. Now, this is a scenario that fight and flight are at the top peak of the mind and the emotional, because there is an unknowing in how the others are intending to utilize their emotional base. Are they coming in to steal money? Are they looking for something else? But when someone invades your space in such a moment, there's very little opportunity to check in. You understand? Where other times, such as the roller coaster, there's a moment to check in. Do I want to get back on it and see if I can work through it? Or, like public speaking, is there an opportunity to begin to work through it in small ways, but yet a traumatic experience, such as a break-in, it is fully in survival mode. The opportunity of checking in and evaluating your route is not available in that moment. It is literally instinct and intuition and movement that is guiding. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It allows you the choice of fight or flight. It allows you the adrenaline and momentum within the physical body that normally is not there, because now you have spiked it up. Allow it, accept it, utilize it in the moment for what it is able to provide. Once you have a place of safety and you're able to calm down out of the anxiety and all of the attributes that have awoken and are rampant running through you, you can then walk through the fear and release it. releasing that energy, yeah, by moving through and acknowledging. Now, we would also say to you, this is one of the struggles that a lot of people have, because you can have an event like that and you can allow your fear to gain so much momentum that it literally will paralyze you in your life. You would always be afraid of someone breaking into your home again. You may not sleep at night because you're afraid of someone climbing into the bed with you. It could completely cease every movement forward in your life if you allow it to take over. And then you definitely need to have a support system that is going to help you work through and release all of that bombshell surrounding it and surrounding the trauma, which is keeping fear at the top of the emotional links and responses versus moving through it to allow that fear to release. And then that trigger, it's not a big red button for you. It will be much more complacent. So, with that in mind, one of the tools that you can do, we like writing. You know, we give advice often from the spirit realm about writing. Because when you write, you drift between here and home. We hear all of the thought that is going onto the page, but not just your words, darlings. We are able to see and feel all of the emotions that you are processing when you are writing about it. So, for those of you wanting to remove the shadow off of your own fears, we suggest that one of the tools used would be writing. Because if you write them down, one, you're acknowledging its existence, right? And isn't that the first step in healing? Acknowledgement. And then you're able to work with your list little by little in addressing each of those fears, in finding an acceptance of what was and what is within yourself, within that event, that trauma. And then you are able to begin processing it in a new light, taking the shadow off of it and walking through it in a new light. So you can see how it served you in the moment. How is it serving you now? Is it still abuse? Or is it ready for you to complete and move and release? This is not work that you can just wave a hand or write a list and go poof. No, it's not. This is a very deep work within yourself. If it is past life related, your spirit team will help you in peeling off those layers of the current so that then you can accept that this is an attribute I'm exploring in another way from past to present. And now let me finish this process. Take time with yourselves because fear is very difficult. It usually has many other emotions linked to it. And sometimes when you're having to peel it apart and heal the self in small increments, you're going to be finding all of these other little pieces. Perhaps there's hurt. Perhaps there's pain. Perhaps there's joy that got smothered by the fear. That can also be. So by looking at and beginning to decipher your own combination code on your emotion of fear, it will allow you, as you heal, to bring those fears into basically the norm. Removing the trigger of it. That's basically it. And then, once you've done this, you'll find that when your fear comes up again, and it may be a completely different setting, it's not a phobia or from traumas or anything like that. You've resolved all of that, right? And now you have an incident in which your fear is brought up. You will work with the emotion in a completely new format because now you have a different understanding of it and it resonates within your being at a different frequency of response. And this is where then you can utilize it as more of a useful tool than a hindrance. Because often as a human, you see fear as a hindrance. When it's actually got a great value in helping you navigate. So, we'll be working on the kitty. She has a cough. So I think I will depart and bring her back. And that way she can see if there's any questions to answer, and we will assist in channeling answers to your questions in regards to the topic of removing the shadows of fear in your life. Remember, darlings, every emotion is of value. You are of value. And we love you. Always call for support when you need us. Hi, guys. Um, so, any questions from anybody about fear? Glad you guys came. And nobody was around when I started, so I'm still kind of foggy. But if anybody has a question or a comment to share about fear, please post, comment, and we'll get you some kind of answers. Like tingle, 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 tingles. Boom. So I know I'll have to go back and listen to the recording to know what I'll try to share about fear. But this is an area I've been working on for a while. And I'm down to just roller coasters. Well, not completely, because I'm still working on the public speaking one. But there's can I get my sentences back? I'd have to say for myself in my own healing journey, recognizing my fears has really helped me shift. Some that I've conquered or healed, and there's others that I'm still working on because, you know, we're human. Right now, we're human. And it's crazy shit. So, if you don't have any questions about fears, sorry, the cat distracted me. I just realized he's like crashed. God, I lose my thought. And when I come back, I lose my thought. So help me out, guys. What you got? Shoot a question. I see Teresa. Thank you, Shannon. Letting yourself actually see that you have fear is a difficult one. Oh, that's a good one, Gil. Yeah, I sometimes fear I'm not going to succeed in getting messages from people. You do readings? Yeah, mediumship. I had that. Oh, big time. I was so petrified about doing readings in the beginning. I started doing them a few years ago. And I I'd have to say, Gil, one of the biggest keys for me with that one was probably really getting a comfortable bond with my team. And so for me, when I have a reading scheduled, I link to my team first. And usually leading up to it, I'm talking to them going, okay, guys, you know who they need to talk to. You know what's needed. So whatever messages it needs to be, bring it. And I'd have to say one of my big things in working on that one is doing different I did more deeper guided meditations of working, of spending time with my team, because I figured, all right, these are my guides. They're my best friends. They're the people that I look to as a soul. And when, you know what, I'm going in and you are the guys I want to have my back, right? So if on a soul level I have that strong of a trust, I need to bring that in here and know that my team has my back. The reading is going to be whatever the reading needs to be. If it bombs, it bombs. It's okay. It's how it's going to need to be. Because there's a lot of times that people are like, I only want to connect to Aunt Jody. And only if Aunt Jody says this one thing will I believe that it's Aunt Jody, right? But a lot of times the messages are hard pills to swallow because they're giving what is needed, not what is wanted. And so for us, it's really connect with your team, trust. Trust that your team is going to help you to bring forth whatever message it needs to be. It's not yours, it's theirs, it's your client's. Yeah, and it's not like we got this, excuse me, let me just dial up. Can I have extension 15 so I can get Aunt Jody on the line? Come on. So yeah, I usually am like, okay, my team, I got this appointment coming up. Bring it. And then like as I'm preparing for my session, I usually go, okay, guys, because for me, I take a shower. That's my way of cleansing and preparing. And so I'm usually in there going, okay, guys, I got a session with so-and-so. Let's bring it. Bring in whoever needs to come. Let's do this. Whatever messages it's going to be, it's going to be. And then just let it go. Because it's not yours. You're the conduit. You're the electrical outlet for both sides. And that, right? And it's going to be whatever is going to be best and serve. It's a one of those you got to get used to. And I have had sessions bomb where it just was like, they didn't like the messages, they were pissed off, and you're just like, eh. And I had to learn that it's not mine. Okay, it's not mine. I'm just the middleman. in the moment. And then you'll find that a lot of times, like 2, 3 months later, that client is contacting you again and going, actually, that was what I needed to know at the time. That was, so it goes back around. Yeah, cards are a really good backup, especially if you have a client. And I don't know if you do this, but I also have my, yeah. I like that. Yeah, I hate that. I can't take that when you nose for them. Yeah, Gil. And you're just like, okay, all right. And you know what? Just leave it. Just leave it in that moment, because sometimes what happens is it comes back around in a different route. Now, here was one key. Hi, Rashmi. Rashmi? Um, Gil, one of the other things that I learned to do, because I used to struggle in the beginning with some readings, and I would get that with people of, I can't take that, I can't take that, I can't take that. And you're just like, oh, fuck it. The fuck am I doing here? People, come on, give me something more clear. I started doing more often of going, um, give it to me another way. Show me in another way. And giving another perspective to it. So, like, sometimes they'll give me a message one way, and the client is just like, I can't take that. No, not me. So instead, I'll go, well, can you leave it in the moment? Leave it, as far as with the client, leave that in the moment. Thought-wise, though, ask them, bring it around in another way that will be more accepting to the client to get the point across. And so you can kind of go off in a different tangent for a little bit, and then they'll swing you back around to it and say it a different way or present it a different way, like, oh, I got a visual of this, or they're giving me that. And then you're like, and then that they take better. They're not putting the two from the I can't take that standpoint before. Now it's coming in a different direction, and they'll usually be like, oh, yeah, that I can't take. Okay. So, oh, but you do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, there's going to be clients, though, too, that just, they have a fixated perception of what their session should be. And those ones you have to just go, well, this is what was presented today. And you might need to let that settle for a bit. If it doesn't resonate, walk away from it. It might resonate a year from now. Because that happens a lot, of like information being given and they're just like, and then, yeah, later on, it all starts to click in and they're going, fuck, man, I remember that reading that I got, and Gil told me this and this and this, and I didn't understand any. I pushed that shit away, and here it is, sitting on my plate. Yeah. Rashmi, we're discussing fears today. I'm not doing readings. I trance channeling about removing the shadow off of your fears and how to use fear in a good way. Mm. Yeah, getting a comfort level with your sitter. Yeah, there's some that you're gonna find are just not in that space, but there's a lot of others that you can get that little. Get them into that little relaxation mode because a lot of them come nervous. You know, or they've got so many things buzzing in their head that it's just like, okay. So humor is huge to use. Some people are real good. Some clients are like, oh, okay, why? But you know, hmm, um, they're telling me that your voice has a harmonic to it that can, um, they show it like as you talk in the small talk, that you're utilizing your voice in a healing capacity of turning down their their nerves and anxiety. So it's not just the humor, it is actually a healing attribute that you're utilizing in your voice. I'm also a hands-on healer. See, you use healing in your voice as well. And you can empower that more. Actually, they're telling me that you can empower that more. It's just a matter of changing the channel. You're telling me changing the channel. I'm going to say that it's um, okay. So you know hands-on healing, right? And how that works. They're saying change the channel rather than it channeling out your hands, channeling it into your throat chakra when you're doing readings. It's going to help you be more comfortable and feel more confident with and moving through that fear about the messages. They're showing it to me. Yeah, bringing the channel into the throat chakra. Um, what is it about your vocal cords that needs? Mm. I'm being told, Gil, that uh, this is an area for you to work on with your fear, right, about the messages, because it's kind of a funny visual because they show me rather than the vocal cords going up and down like rubber bands, they show me yours are like crisscrossed. Looks like a basket weave, just not tight. And being told that that's part of the fear. So this is an area for you to work with more using the hands-on healing attribute, just channeling it into the throat chakra. And also, they're telling me that there was something long ago in the past where when you were, it's being given like providing information that you kept getting invalidated. And this was living people. They're going, it kept getting invalidated. So either it was being told, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know, that kind of thing is what they're showing me, this basket weave. And it makes it, when you go to do your readings, that's part of the fluctuation. You're very welcome. Okay. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. Yes, yes. Very good, Lisa. I like that. Yeah, Gail, that's a good spot to work on, and you're welcome. You have a really nice team yourself. There's some good ones. Rashmi, being scared to death if I did see. Yeah, that makes the big contradiction. I want to see, but I don't want to see. I'd be scared if I saw. So, what I'm hearing for you with working with that one, have you already started seeing like the energy around trees and animals, the aura? That's where you can start to see energy in a safe way. Now, as far as a visual of spirit world, like for me, I see more internally than externally. I can see externally if they're really strong about it, or if I'm really attuning to the room around me, kind of like today. But it's really doing they don't like us to end up having a traumatic experience with it. They want it to be a possible. So baby steps, right? Clairsentience, which is clear feeling, is the most common ability for us to begin to explore with. Once we realize it's going on, then you can take it into the next layer, which is usually the easiest one, is clairaudient, right? So start working with seeing the auras, right? Seeing the energy around things, plants, animals, even in your home, because we leave energy everywhere. Everything has a touch and a feel to it. So the more comfortable you get with beginning to see those energy fields, little by little you can work through the fear of finally seeing spirit, okay? And you can and then the more that you work with it, then you can peel it back to where you're getting visuals here, inside, okay? They're quick flashes, you know. That's one way to work through that fear and gain the comfort level. And like like part of the message with Gil, start working with tools that help you to connect with your guide. Guided meditations with heavy visualization of meeting your guide, working with your guide, can help to begin to work through the fear of seeing spirit. Does that help? Hey, October. That's all right, honey. Gil, yes, not at home, but at school. That was different from the others. I felt everybody saw it, so it was all right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Gil. I'm with you there, buddy. I'm with you there. Um, so that's probably part of the root in the fear of not being able to get the messages for the clients. So now that you can go do. Yes, I did. Thank you, October. I even straightened it. Yeah, but it's a building block, Rashmi. It's a building block, okay? So I would work first with starting to get the clairaudient to come in more and the visualization internal. And then you can bring in the external without it having a traumatic effect. Thank you, October. My daughters, for my birthday, surprised me by taking me to a hair salon, and they had set up a full color cut, the whole works for my 50th birthday. So thank you. Yeah, I know that was totally off track, and everybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about your hair for? But thank you, October. I appreciate that. Because, yeah, I turned 50. Woo! Trucking down the road. Got another 25, 30 to go, and I'm homeward bound. So, um, clairaudient, that's a great statement. Yeah, clairaudient is a whole lot easier to transition into to then get to the clairvoyant. So, yeah. I know a lot of us want to go, I want to see you. But they do really like to have it, you know, where it's not going to be traumatic for us. And again, dealing with the fear. So, yeah, it's a much easier step of progression. Thank you. Yeah. So, um, and yes, I have my new coffee cup. Crazy cat lady. I think finding your strength and building on it is best. Yeah, yeah. It's one of the other tools to be able to use to take the shadows off of your fears. I would agree with that, October. Because you know what? You never really know how strong you are until you actually are looking at something you fear and being able to move through it and kind of take it apart. You like, I always have a coffee cup, Rashmi. I drink my tea or my coffee, and so in all my videos or presentations, I usually always show about what my coffee cup of the day is. Because it's fun. Why not? That one my kids got me for my birthday. Crazy cat lady. I love it. Yeah. Yes, it is a matter of understanding how you get your messages, you know. Um, like, I don't know where I was going. I hate when I do that. Since I was trance channeling today, my thoughts get scrambled. And my team is here very strongly. The part is just like, woman, get your shit together. It's putting two together. Um, but yeah, if you can understand the basis in how your abilities work to get your messages, it makes it a whole lot easier because it's like having, they're giving me cell towers. They're giving me the visual of cell towers. It's like this one has a cell tower that looks like a little pine tree. And this one over here has a cell tower that looks like a top of a building. And this one looks, oh my God, you guys, the visuals are hilarious because then we've got this one where she's got like a little ballerina on the top of her antenna. And this one over here has a wrench. There's got to be a guy. It could be a girl mechanic, but yeah. So, you know, they're like, see how different everybody can be? Your antennas aren't even the same. So if you have an antenna connecting to spirit that works different than your friend or your mentor, then you need to look at it, shift it, and attune to the way your antenna is going to work. And the same thing for, working with the emotions. Just because your friend was able to do it this way and face that, like, okay, my daughters, they're both petrified of spiders. My oldest one, she'll like literally climb the furniture, climb the walls practically. And the other one is more aggressive. She's like, give me that shoe, beat that spider, get this one. They have a fear of spiders. But they work with it completely differently. One has it for one reason, and one has it for a completely different reason. So then they can go, just because one addressed their fear and conquered it this way, doesn't mean the other one has to do that same path. They're completely different antennas, different responders, different roots on the fear itself. So they have to address it in completely different ways in order to move through it and release it. Of course you did, October. You and I, we do a lot of that connect thought. So that's I'd say that's a key too, just because, we do tend to talk to friends, mentors, peers, and they're like, oh, your fear is this. Oh yeah, I have that. All you have to do is just do that. It's all good. No, you're a completely different wired individual. That's one of the fun parts of incarnating, is having that uniqueness in the individuality and different responders, different ways of responders, different thought patterns, different energetic makeup. that allows you the uniqueness of your experiences and how you manage or don't manage them. Yeah, kind of fun. I guess that's why I like coming here. Even when it drives me crazy. So, last call for questions in relation to removing the shadows of fear. And then I get to go be a domestic goddess and do dishes. Isn't that fun? I know there's always a delay with Facebook. Yeah. So I will work on my sign off then. I really appreciate, and I'm very, very grateful for those of you that took the time to spend with me this morning, this afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I hope the channeling was helpful in removing the shadows of fear and why it's such a useful tool. We're going to be doing some more sessions coming up now that we're moving into the next wave. There'll be more on different emotions and diving more into healing stuff and healers. We really want to get more into that in so many different ways. If you have any suggestions, questions for events, please message me on my public page. You can PM me anytime, and I can see about putting them on the schedule. And let's bring it into a format that we can discuss to help everybody. So, oh, sorry. Keep it in. And then there's some other stuff coming up. I'm quite sure. But we'll get it figured out. But anyway, I gotta put these somewhere. They won't roll away. Thank you. Love you guys. Peace out.